Good evening, South African wine lovers, and welcome to the Save SA Wine live stream. Tonight we are celebrating our wine producers, our winelands, our wineries, our wine, and just everything we love about wine. Why not, right? And I think the main thing we want to tackle tonight is how do we kickstart summer? How do we kickstart summer? Because the fact is, our winelands and our wineries are going to be dependent on local business. I don't see that we're going to get a lot of international travelers, at least until December, and then we're already in the middle of summer. So we need to kickstart summer right now. So what are we? Before I go into that, I just want to say a big thank you to our sponsors of the evening, our friends at the Fishwives Club, and I must tell you guys, I've actually tonight poured a glass of the Fishwives Club Merlot. Let me just taste this again. It's absolutely fantastic. Fantastic wine. It's still young. I mean, if you let this lie for 3 years, it will be fantastic. Very much a berry flavor. Fantastic Merlot. You need to get this, the Fishwives Club. Go to their boutique, the fishwivesclubboutique.com, and get some of the Merlot. It's really great. And thank you to the Fishwives Club for sponsoring the Merlots for tonight's live stream, which is just, in one word, fantastic. Thank you very much. Just put the glass down. Back to the topic at hand, and that is kickstarting our summer. I mean, we really need to kickstart our summer now. It's we are not going to get the tourists that we had the last few years, if we get any tourists at all. At the moment, the facts are that we are still under lockdown, level 2, which means there's no international tourists. I've looked at the news today, and it doesn't seem that tourists are coming here anytime soon. So what can we do? We need to concentrate on the local market. And how do we kickstart summer? Well, it's been a tough time in the winelands in the last few months. And all of us had to adjust to not only a new way of doing things, but some businesses have been and are still in a fight for survival. We've all seen the statistics from Vinpro. More than 18,000 potential job losses are staring us in the face in the next year and a half. We've lost 2.5 billion rand in revenue in wine tourism in the first half of this year. And, it's not getting better, it's getting worse, because we're going into tourism season with no tourists. So from our side, from About the Winelands and Visit the Winelands, we have been working on a few projects to promote the winelands, including our podcast, our About the Winelands podcast. We started in February, as well as the Save SA Wine group on Facebook. We're doing a collaboration on the hashtag 1660 project, where we are featuring 60 producers in the next 60 days until the 28th of October. And we were also involved in the Capital Seek Day promotion, amongst other things. We have now completed more than 60 interviews with wineries. Well, not only wineries, also other winelands businesses. And our podcasts are published on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. This creates a huge amount of awareness amongst our public and amongst wine lovers. And as part of our podcasting program, we've also created more than 60 short explainer videos on businesses and activities in the winelands. So this is really, really important information, because what we need to do is up the tempo of what we're doing. Our collaborative networks are now reaching more than 250,000 people every week. And we are also currently doing 2 promotional live streams daily at 8:30 and 7 o'clock on weekdays, and at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock and 7 o'clock on weekends. With the summer season on our doorstep, it's now even more important for Winelands businesses to step up their promotional activities. And we are inviting everyone to contact us with any new ideas that you might have. Just email us at visitthewinelands@gmail.com. And a great way for you to get more exposure for your wine business, your restaurant, your accommodation, your Winelands experience, your wine, is to use one of our premium service offerings. We realize that times are tough, and we are here to give a helping hand. And we've decided to give away a 500 Rand credit to you as a gift to start your promotion for summer. All you need to do to claim yours is email us at visitthewinelands@gmail.com, and we'll send you a 500 Rand gift card, which will get you quite a bit of promotion. So don't don't take this lightly. Use this gift that's given to you. Then, besides this, like I said, we're still busy with the 1660 campaign. We are showcasing 60 producers in 60 days. This is a campaign started by Erica Taylor, bless her soul. And so I just need another sip of this fantastic Fishwives Club Merlot. You guys need to taste this, right? If you don't have the Fishwives Club Merlot, please go to the fishwivesclubboutique.com and order a case. It's really fantastic. Anyway, that helps to keep the throat wet. So Erica's come up with this campaign, and we're featuring one producer a day for the next 60 days until the 28th of October. To savesawine.co.za. There's also a calendar on savesawine.co.za/1660, where you'll be able to see which producers are featured next. And if you can, please go to Instagram and like our Instagram page, leave a comment. It's instagram.com/savesawine.co.za. Please support these producers. Use these hashtags, #1660, #DrinkSouthAfrican, and of course, #SaveSouthAfricanWine. And if you're sitting there tonight and you don't know really how to support the South African wine industry, there are 3 things you need to do. First, drink a glass of South African wine. This will give you inspiration. Secondly, choose a producer or 2 and buy some of their wines. This will help them. And thirdly, invite all your friends and family to join our group, the Facebook group, Save SA Wine. We need to get this group to 100,000 people. This is what we ask of you. From our side, we are doing podcasts. If you are a producer and you want to do a podcast for your business, this is a great way to get exposure for your business. It's totally free. Just contact us. Email us at visitthewinelands@gmail.com. We'll interview you, and it's a great way to get exposure. Tonight's featured podcast is one I did a while ago with Carolyn Miller-Krogh. She's the National Sales Manager of Zevenbach Wine Estate. Zevenbach, one of the premier wine estates in the Winelands. And Carolyn has got more than 20 years experience in the wine industry, and we would love to hear a story. So without wasting any further time, listen to the interview with Carolyn. Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to influencers and leaders in the wine industry, winemakers, restaurants, and other businesses. Tune in every Wednesday and Friday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss out. Now, to get on with the show. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today I'm speaking to Carolyn Miller-Kroch of Zevenbach. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Will. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Enjoying the time to be able to chat to lots of people, using the time productively yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been good. I've spent some precious time with my daughter. I travel a lot, so this has been a time to catch up and just have some good family times. But it's been good, and obviously having a little bit of wine on the side helps too.
That's always awesome when working for a wine business, right? Carolyn,
Yes.
tell us a bit about yourself and how you became involved with the wine industry.
Well, currently I'm the national sales manager for Zevenbach Wine Estate. I've been in the industry now for going on 21 years. It, I think the wine industry almost found me by coincidence. When I was studying, I decided to work at Constantia Wine Estate just as a sideline job while I was studying. So I was in the cellar door and I did cellar tours and listening to the senior staff and listening to the winemakers, you know, the bug really bit. So growing up in a family that always enjoyed wine and always used to sip along with my mum and my dad, but never really understanding what it was all about. And I think from those Constantia days, I decided I'm going to follow the wine path and see where it takes me. And here I am today.
Amazing. Were your studies related to wine at all?
Well, I actually started off with law and then proceeded to move into marketing and public relations. So it was an interesting combination. And then subsequently, I did my Cape Wine Academy diploma. So it started off in a very different level. And then I made a kind of move into which would be more relevant on the wine side.
Wow, amazing. How long have you been with Zevenbach?
I started last year, March. So
Okay.
just over a year now.
And before that?
Before that, I was at Thelema Mountain Vineyards. And then I was at Distel, Kleine Zalze, Steenberg, Glencarlu. So some really amazing names that I can, add to my CV.
Well, that's amazing. So Zevenbach itself, can you tell us a little bit more about the history of Zevenbach?
Yes, of course. Zevenbach actually has a wonderful history, steeped in a lot of interesting tradition. And the property itself has always been on the farming side. And then probably in about, I think it was about 1903, they discovered cassiterite, which is the raw ore that is made into tin. So the mine was basically built. So there's still the original winch and boiler on the farm today, and we actually still have the shafts on the farm, hence why one of our tiers is called the Tin Mine Range. And then that ended probably just before World War I, and it went back into farming. Then in about 1992, Harold and Denise Johnson bought the farm as a going concern. So it was already planted out to vineyards. But what Harold and Denise then decided to do is upgrade the entire facility. So there was a lot of vineyards that were pulled out and replanted. So effort was put into understanding our true terroir and what really suits our farm. We're in a wonderfully unique position. So, and we're very much driven towards a Sauvignon Blanc because of where we are situated. And that went right through to the vinicultural side too, and looking at the cellar and seeing, best practices. So that's a bit of background on who we are. So Zevenbach actually is a Dutch word, and it means 7 expectations.
7 expectations, right? Talking about
Yes.
expectations, what can the guest expect or experience when visiting your estate?
So we are very fortunate to have a beautifully sized estate. And there's so much that you can do on it. For those who haven't been to Zevenbach, I think to drive in through those gates, and the first thing you see is just beautiful vineyards, and you drive down this oak-lined road, and that will give you of what to expect. So we see ourselves as a lifestyle estate, and we encourage people to visit our farm, not just to taste wine, but come and jog on the farm. And we've got mountain bike courses. There's a 4x4 course, which the 4x4 club manages. Just simply enjoying our conservancy and and nature itself. And then over and above that, we obviously have our wine tasting center. So, and there are different choices that you can to choose to enjoy our wine. So whether it's a cheese and wine pairing, whether it's a chocolate and wine pairing, or it's simply you just choosing which wines you would like to taste. We also have a restaurant, and part of that restaurant is our picnic area. So our restaurant is very much towards South African style cooking with a nice twist. Chef Henna heads up the kitchen. We have lovely reviews that come through from that side. We obviously then also have our country inn. There's 13 rooms in total. We have Bakwena Spa that forms part of the enjoyment of the farm with gorgeous views. Yeah, so there's quite a few choices to be made when visiting Zevenbach.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it seems to me like there's been a progression in your tourism from just first it started off with wine tasting and then into a concept called wine tourism, and now you've got it seems like everybody's going into a complete package of a sort of offering in the Winelands. Do you like lifestyle packages where people can do that type of bookings where they come for that type of thing?
You'll see now, specifically going into the quieter months, never mind the fact that we're overcoming quarantine, but traditionally going into winter, we generally come out with very like a eat, sleep, stay concept. It includes dinner at the restaurant, a spa package with a wine tasting. So we do a collaborative effort with all the entities on our farm, so people can truly get a full experience of what we can offer and see how beautiful the farm itself is. Once you're on Zevenbach, there's no reason why you have to even leave, if you're there for a couple of days.
That's true, and your location is very nice as well. Close to the airport and close to the rest of our experience in the wine.
I know we nicely. So we still form part of the Stellenbosch wine route. So we on the Stellenbosch side, conveniently close to the airport, and surrounded by amazing other farms too, to form part of that route.
On the airport, well, or you have.
Yes.
I suppose that's something that you specifically look to build during the winter months to fight this whole tourism winter.
Most definitely. We are very reliant just as through the quieter months. So we have lovely conferencing packages on offer, again, including the different entities on the farm. Advocate for functions and weddings. So if you are interested, I would suggest anyone visiting our website and linking through to our banqueting team for functions and weddings.
Oh, that's awesome. So now the important stuff. Tell us a bit more about the wines you are producing, and also the Zevenbach winemaking philosophy.
So our philosophy, and I think we probably not know, and the wonderful thing is, again, going back to who Zevenbach is from a position point of view. So we are positioned at quite a high altitude, and we have influences both from Table Bay and False Bay from a sea influence that cools down the vineyards completely, especially in our hot Stellenbosch summers. With that said, most of our vineyards are also south to southwest facing. So that also assists from that intense heat. We find that we can have longer hang time, for example, for the grapes. We also have a lovely soil structure, mostly decomposed granite. Like I said, we focus, our biggest plant planted to vine is our Sauvignon Blanc. One of the few Sauvignon Blancs that I think when you actually have, you can enjoy the lack of huge amounts of acidity. You don't need the Rennies while you're drinking it, you know. And that obviously comes along with all the elements that make up to where we can get a beautiful, well-structured wine in general going across all our cultivars. Our cellar master, and he's been with us now just over about a year and a half, and he very much loves focusing on, because of where we are again, on the Rhone cultivar, specifically our Syrah, and then also we have an old vine Chenin Blanc on our farm, so that's become a large focus of ours too, and Chardonnay. So those are basically the three cultivars that we can see formulating with where we are from a placement point of view as our focus wines, you know.
Oh, that's amazing. So your wines, Carolyn, where are they sold? I see you're exporting worldwide. Tell us a bit more about your markets.
We are. So luckily for Zevenbach, it's one of the great advantages of working with this brand. So we have from our Z collection range, which is our top tier, right through to our lifestyle range, which is our sevens range. And with that, and obviously a few in between, like our tin mine and our estate. So with that said, it's so great to be able to target different markets with the different tiers. The majority of our market sits in our own backyard. We have a huge national presence, of which the majority of that sits in Cape Town. And then, yes, we have a global stance as well. Our biggest markets are Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, UK. And with that said, you know, we are spreading as much as possible. So yes, we are in America, we're in Canada, we're working on towards getting into Asia, and I am personally working on spreading our wings throughout Africa too, because what we've seen is that there is a larger priced premium South African wines in other African countries. So that's one of our biggest 2020 projects.
That's very, very interesting. Just a quick interruption, but I do need to remind you that we are currently in a very difficult time. The South African government has set up a fund where businesses and individuals can donate to support our country through this crisis. Go to the website now and add your small donation. www.solidarityfund. Please join us all in the fight against COVID-19. That is at www.solidarityfund.co.za. Now, let's get on with the show. With the local market, I assume that that is going to be, especially with the current situation, that's going to be extremely important when things get back to normal. Are you doing anything specific? I mean, your local market, if you say Cape Town, I assume that's mostly restaurants, or that's also retail stores?
Yeah, I think that whole question of what is the new normal is a very interesting one, and it's a big concern across the entire. And I'm on quite a few different chat groups, and it's very interesting to see what people want to do from an initiative point of view. So yes, there are going to be huge amounts of changes. To be honest with you, I think for at least the rest of 2020, people are going to be very aware of the fact of remaining with the whole social keeping at home. So from an off-con perspective, so from a retailer perspective and an online sales perspective for home deliveries, so for example, we've just started our own online wine shop from Zevenbach. That is advantageous for us. That, we can see huge growths forthcoming after. But on the other hand, sadly, the restaurants and hotels are really going to suffer. So collectively, we've been sitting together as an industry and coming up with initiatives that we can put forward and assist. And you know, what do? We have to reach the consumer, assist with them coming into a restaurant, be aware that obviously, you know, again, tables will have to be far apart. There's going to be huge amounts of sanitization going on. There's going to be less people being able to sit in a restaurant. How can we help them? Is it from a discount structure? Is it from, you know, getting an initiative to assist with a, you know, a group funding? So yeah, there's a lot under discussion. What is viable and what isn't, time will tell. But we will be in this together, and we stand together.
Well, I mean, that's the message I get from everybody I'm talking to in the industry. You know, everybody's working together and, you know, rethinking basically the goals that you have in mind. I mean, of course, I mean, wine sales is one aspect of your business. The big advantage of a place like yourself is that you have an outside experience as well, which means social distancing is a bit easier. And I think people will be more keen to go to outside spaces than maybe in inside spaces.
Definitely. So again, it's a bit of a tough time, you know, with us going into cooler weather. For those who are, you know, prepared to carry on running through the wine farm. Every day when I arrive at the farm, it's so wonderful to see groups of people arriving to do the jog around the farm or the mountain biking trails and stuff. So obviously that will still remain open. And, you know, from a health perspective, it's wonderful to be able to get out there once we have all been, feels like, you know, the four walls, clawing down the four walls, getting some fresh air and exercise. But we will have to maintain, as much as we see ourselves as a wine brand, we also have a restaurant and a hotel on a farm too, both sides. So we will have to look at different ways of encouraging people to enjoy our facilities, but being aware of, you know, what, like I said before, the new normal is going to be. So that, yeah, we've had conversations. We'll sit down, you know, in a group and have larger discussions of the next 12 to 24 months and where we can assist the best we can. And that goes, I think, from a global discussion. It's not just South Africa. So it's going to be a very interesting rollout. And to be honest, I think time will tell. We can put initiatives in place and it will be adjusted and changed. We'll literally have to be able to go with the flow and be flexible, you know.
It's going to be interesting times. Carolyn, I see Zevenbach is a member of this BWI, the Biodiversity and Wine Initiative. What does that mean?
Yes. So we actually, again, like I mentioned, we are very lucky to have a fairly big farm. 100 hectares are under vine, but then what we've done is actually, so from about 2009, apologies, we became a member of the BWI. What we've done is we've put 80 hectares of a very special biome aside called Renosterveld. So it's under a lot of stress. There's very little Renosterveld left within the Western Cape. And through a conservancy as part of the Butler-Ray Conservancy, so it's ourselves and our neighbors that have put a certain amount of hectares of Renosterveld aside. That obviously encourages soil health, protection of birds of prey and smaller mammals. You know, we've got about 150 to 200 different species of flora. So it's just assisting and having that balance between the farming factor and the Mother Nature factor, and making sure we're not intruding and not being greedy as to, you know, what we need to do to make sure everything is looked after efficiently and sufficiently. And it's also about farming methods, you know, ensure that we're not using anything that's going to affect the natural flora and fauna, and just be careful how we manage what we do use in the vineyards, and so on and so forth. So keep it as natural as possible.
Well, I think this is a growing trend worldwide, and especially your new markets, your millennials, your new, they are, seems to me,
Yes.
they're more interested in this type of thing than in the old, traditional wine history and that type of stuff.
Completely agree. And it's quite interesting when you speak to the Nordic countries. One of the first questions is around, the conservancy and how we protect our farms and how we look after, flora and fauna, going through into how our people are looked after too. And the other question is whether we vegan as well. So those are two very definite trends coming out, and we can happily say we are now vegan. We're offering vegan wines within the winemaking process.
I was wondering about that. I always assumed that all wines are vegan, but now it seems to me there is a difference. So can you enlighten me a little bit more? It's quite interesting.
Sure. Yeah. It's a lot of people don't really realize that, exactly as you said, we weren't vegan. But when you go into the larger process of how the wine is made, so for example, when it comes down to the filtration, so the fining of the wine, collecting the sample, we used to use certain animal products. So for example, you can actually basically use egg white, like a consomme. I don't know if you know the soup consomme. So it's a clear soup, and they add the egg white to attract end up with a beautiful, bright, clear soup. And it's exactly the same concept, but obviously it being egg, it's an animal product. And there are different methodologies. I'm trying to remember the other one. I think it's called an isotope or something. It's like a fish bladder powder, something like that is added. But again, obviously, it's an animal product. So officially, all wines from the 2019 harvest have moved over to being vegan. So now we've moved over to different methods where we use only plant-based, or for example, bentonite clay. So there are different versions, and there's different products on the market, basically from like a starch version through to a kelp version, and like I said, using a clay. But more and more brands are moving towards using plant-based, and it's I don't think it's just going to be fad or fashion. It's not just a trend. It's now becoming more of a way of life, a healthier way of living,
Definitely. I mean, it's a huge trend. So Carolyn, been interesting so far, but now what I would like to hear from you personally is, what is the most important thing that you've learned from your wine journey?
Sure. It's been a very long journey. Like 21 years later, there's a lot learned. I think in the early days, the complete naivety to obviously being an older now. I don't have to give my age away.
No, man, I can hear you're still a youngster. So stop teasing us.
Thanks, Rob. It's so sweet. But for me, I think the biggest lesson I've learned, bar many others, but one that really sticks with me and which I apply to drink it. If you have chosen to buy my wine off the shelf or chosen my wine off that wine menu, I love you. Full stop, thank you, done. That's deal done. That for me is just very important going into this. We have to expand our market, and it's not necessarily from a country perspective. We have to expand our drinking market, who we are talking to, who we want part of a broader conversation. And currently we aren't able to do that with expressing wine. It has to just be simplified, more open, more honest, less intimidating.
Very, very wise words. Carolyn, how do people, if people want to get hold of Zevenbach, where do they find you? How do they get hold of you?
The best way is to go onto our website. All information is on there. So it's www